this weekend at a special catchweight of 190 pounds, we have Jourdain Wright taking on the Canadian out of Gatineau, Quebec. It is Marc-Andre Barriault representing Sanford MMA against Dynamics MMA's own, the Beverly Hills Ninja. And in this matchup, there's a lot of different things we could talk about. I could give the UFC another tagline. Do you folks want it? I know you want it. It's kind of like hammers and nails getting into a fight. It's like a fight in the parking lot of a Home Depot. Because realistically, for Marc-Andre Barriault, you look at it when he came into the UFC, it was all, well, he was the nail. He was the nail. And then he fought Oscar Piota, and he wasn't the nail anymore. But you know what? USADA, they said, you're still kind of the nail. We're taking that one away from you. So that's the no contest on Barriault's record. He did look very good in...
Not a great sign when USADA sees you win a single fight and they're like, something's going wrong here.
Well, that ends up as a no contest. He beats Abu Zaitsar. He's able to just kind of rally back in that fight after a strong first round from Zaitsar. Beats Dolce Lunjambula in a grimy type of Barriault fight. And then his last time out against Chitty Bang Bang and Joe Kawani, that wasn't that long ago, he gets finished. Now, that fight was 2 months, a week, and a day ago. Well, at least when they stepped foot into the cage. And for Jourdain Wright, his last time out was equally as unimpressive 3 months and 3 weeks ago against Bruno Silva, where, hey, Jourdain landed a couple good shots, right? No, he did.
He ate a couple big ones, though, too.
And then, yeah, he eats a couple big ones. And for Jourdain Wright, it's like car crash fighting. He's great at distance, but he always wants to crash it. And sometimes he knocks guys out. And sometimes he gets knocked out. And when he gets knocked out, it's kind of wild to watch it because it's not that his chin's that bad, but he is very susceptible to getting hit by major power shots by power punchers easily and often in the UFC. So for Wright, the craziest part about it is, and I'll throw his UFC stat line up there because it's just a wild thing to look at numerically. Like, it's crazy. But since Dana White's Contender Series in 2018... he loses to Fluffy Hernandez, gets knocked out in 40 seconds. So that ends up a no contest. The dank herb on Hernandez's part. Hernandez gets into the UFC. Wright goes on and fights Gabriel Checo over at LFA. Now, Checo, he's known as a jiu-jitsu ace. Recently lost to Rashad Evans in a fight that really happened with Eagles FC. But in that fight, Mr. Jourdain Wright's able to get the win in the second round. So then he books a ticket on short notice against Ike Villanueva. And he finishes him in the first round, and that's good. And then he fights Joaquin Buckley and he gets knocked out. Then he fights Jamie Pickett, knocks him out. And then he goes out there and he fights Bruno Silva and gets knocked out. So, just kind of wild to see that. Originally this weekend it was supposed to be Jourdain Wright against Roman Kopylov. Kopylov out, in steps Marc-Andre Barriault. Matt, we know out of Wright, very, very light on his feet. Bounces quite a bit. Keeps his hands right here. Keeps his head wide up and high.
I have a whole theory that Luke Rockhold kind of started it, and it's that you should never spar people shorter than you. Because I really do think it gives you a really bad defensive mindset. Because when you're a lot taller than everyone you're sparring, and I do believe Jourdain Wright has this problem because he fights exactly in this manner. You lean back a lot. Because when you're taller than people, you can get away from punches by just leaning back. And it's fine. It's really good to do in training. Then you get into actual MMA, and you don't really have that luxury anymore. You will be fighting people who are your size, who are throwing in combination, who maybe you can evade those first couple shots, but if you just move your head backwards and you don't follow with your feet, and your opponent follows you with their feet, well, they're going to get closer to you, and they're going to be able to land those power shots. And that's exactly how Jourdain Wright's been clipped in his last two fights. Bruno Silva, close to the distance. Jourdain Wright moves his head initially, doesn't move his feet at all, gets caught up against the cage, ends up eating... like you said, he might not have a bad chin. He just finds himself eating power punches from guys you do not want to eat power punches from him. Going into this video, it was a big thing on my mind. Okay, Marc-Andre Barriault, he just got knocked out. But the truth is, Jourdain Wright also recently got knocked out too, so I'm not really sure where either guy's durability is going to be coming into this fight. And I really do think that has to be said, because anytime you have two guys coming off of, let's be honest, fairly vicious knockouts in both cases, I like it when a fighter has 5 months, 6 months, 7 months to really let their brain heal, and then you can think to yourself, okay, their chin will have some time to come back, and let's be honest, normally when fighters get knocked out, they're never really the same afterwards. It's kind of, the way it was described to me, Alistair Overeem was the first person who ever said this. It's like when you open a jar. The first time you open a jar, it's really, really hard. And then it gets easier every single time you do it. When you get knocked out in MMA, it's the same thing with your chin. It's really hard the first time, then it becomes easier and easier and easier. And I do worry with Jourdain Wright and his fighting style. If someone's coming to collect those debts a little bit early. I really do worry about his overall style because even in his wins, it's not like he's winning clean fights left, right, and center where he's not getting hit. He is still very susceptible to damage no matter what the result of his fight is. And I really do think that Jourdain Wright needs to overhaul his fighting style because I agree with you. I think there are some huge positives in his fighting style. He's a good fighter at distance. He has a good jab when he sticks to it, which isn't very often if we're being honest. He has great power on the feet. And he's a huge light heavyweight for this division. Or he's a huge middleweight fighting at 190 this weekend in a catchweight. So I do think that there are some positives to his game, but I just think the recklessness that he has completely takes away any advantage he brings into the cage. And for Marc-Andre Barriault, I know I don't love the knockout he had to Chidi Njokuani, and if you've been watching Bellator, I think you know how good Chidi is as a natural striker, but at least Barriault, other than that one knockout loss, he's not taking consistent beatings every single time he's out there, and that's why I do think he's the slightly more durable guy going into this matchup.
Marc-Andre Barriault has a lot of wild fights, though, and he gets hit. I know neither one of these guys, like, again, stats on a page, but neither one of these guys have good stat lines when it comes to their striking defense. And for Barriault, usually has to keep his hands up, eat a lot of damage to get into a clinch, and then land his knees and land his close shots in the inside. And the craziest thing that Matt said is, the way that it was described to me as, Alistair Overeem said, what'd you guys do? Sit down in a room and throw around ideas?
He was talking to, I don't remember if it was Luke Thomas or Errol Hawani, but he was just describing how hard it is to come back from a knockout.
Like Santa Claus? You sat on his lap? Alistair,
I would love to talk to Alistair Overeem. A plethora of MMA knowledge.
Was horse meat a real thing, Alistair? Tell me, please.
I think there was some other supplements involved.
But when it comes down to this fight, again, for Barriault, you might not think of him as a guy who is able to get a lot of takedowns, is able to put his body on you. That's the way that he fights. He doesn't get a ton of takedowns, but it is that clinch and cage control. It is that pressure. It's somewhat limited boxing, because it is a boxing, pressure-heavy style. Doesn't throw a ton of kicks. For a guy like Jourdain Wright, who has this wind-up type of almost taekwondo style, Anthony Hardok and Vladimir Matyashenko are his coaches, so you'd think, hey, the wrestling's probably pretty damn good with the janitor, and the kickboxing's pretty damn good with Hardok. There's pieces there. The takedown defense has been good so far, but I honestly do have a really hard time, everybody. I opened this video by saying, hey, I'm honest if it's a bad week, I'm honest if it's a good week, and I'm going to be honest, this isn't the greatest card. I'm going to be honest on this one. I don't have a great read either way on the picks, so
I think it'll be a fun fight, though. Like, I agree with you. I don't have a good read on this, because both guys could get knocked out, both guys could lose by decision. I still think it's going to be an entertaining fight, though, at the end of the night.
Jourdain Wright opened a minus 140 favorite, he's a minus 150. Marc-Andre Barriault opened a plus 110. Lui maintenant, plus 120. If we have a look at the votes with Tapology, Matt, surprise to us, there to you. I'm going to say over-under because Wright's a favorite, 62.5%. Right?
I'll say under.
I'm going to say under. Ooh, it's close. 369 total votes, 60% Wright, 82% have him to win by knockout. For the 40% that Barriault, 42% by decision, 50% by knockout. That slim 8% margin have Barriault to win by submission. Smat, now I put you on the spot. Let's pick here.
This is a I'm going to look dumb no matter what I say type of prediction because I'm either going to say Marc-Andre Barriault is going to completely one-sided win a decision against Jourdain Wright, and he could. He could win like a 30-26 and really grind him out. But I do think Jourdain Wright's going to win this fight. I do think his size is going to make it really hard for Marc-Andre Barriault to take him down, and he is a very physically strong guy at this weight class. He does have good takedown defense. As long as he doesn't get into a brawl with a really heavy-handed puncher, I do think those 50-50 exchanges on the feet are ever so slightly going to favor Jourdain Wright. But I will say this. I think Wright's the better striker, but I do think Barriault's slightly more durable. So maybe if Barriault can land some big hook on the feet, he's able to rock Wright and then start to implement his own wrestling and his game plan from that point on. But my prediction will be Jourdain Wright.
The scary thing is, for Marc-Andre Barriault, the knockout loss to Chidi Njokuani was so recent, and it does scare you that A, it was recent, but B, he's taking this on short notice, so you got to cut weight. You could still be compromised. There's a lot of things at play there. Obviously, that 5 pounds will help him. The other thing, for Jourdain Wright, he's seen the second round twice in his life. Against Gabriel Checo, who is not a striker, he's a grappler, and against Joaquin Buckley, where Wright got knocked out. So I'm going to go with Marc-Andre Barriault with the pressure. The thing that I hate is the fact that when Jourdain Wright gets backed up against the cage, being the taller guy, always gets his hands down for his underhooks, and again, leaves his damn head right there to be hit by uppercuts, elbows, anything that Barriault has coming his way. So I favor Marc-Andre Barriault in a lot of different aspects in this fight. Obviously, I like the long-range weapons, the blitzes as well out of Jourdain Wright, but it's not going to be a heck of a fight. if we disagree on the pick like this. You know it's going to be a heck of a fight. So, both of us in disagreement. I'm going with Canada's Marc-Andre Barriault. I never say that. You're going to go with the man out of California, the Beverly Hills Ninja, and Jourdain Wright. Let us know down below in the comments section who you have in this fight. We're really eager to hear from you. We do our best to try and get back to a lot of you guys in the comments section. Big time fights coming up this weekend. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say,
let's get into it.